Ferrari just tested an upgrade so extreme, it can unlock up to 20 kilometers per hour on the straights, and no other team on the grid can copy it in time. It already failed once. It already caused instability. It already forced Ferrari to remove it before a race. And now it is back. A rear wing that does not behave like anything else in Formula One. It rotates. It transforms airflow completely. It changes how the entire car moves through the air. And if it works, Ferrari gains a straight-line advantage that could decide races. But if it fails, even for a split second, it can destroy the balance of the car instantly. And that is why this moment matters. Because Ferrari is not just bringing an upgrade. They are taking a risk that no other team is willing to take. And inside that risk is one hidden detail. The one that makes this system impossible to copy and dangerous to ignore. At first, it does not look like something revolutionary. From the outside, the car looks familiar. Same shape, same philosophy, nothing that screams advantage. But then you focus on the rear, and everything changes, because this is not a normal rear wing. It does not simply open like traditional systems. It rotates completely, and that single movement changes everything about how the car cuts through the air. On the straight, the wing flips forward, not slightly, fully, reducing drag in a way no conventional system can match. We are talking about a potential gain of 15, even 20 kilometers per hour at top speed. That is not an upgrade. That is a weapon. But here is where it becomes more complex. Because the moment the driver hits the brakes, that wing has to return. Instantly. Precisely. Perfectly timed. If it is even slightly late, the rear loses stability. The balance shifts. The car becomes unpredictable at the worst possible moment. Corner entry. That is exactly what happened before. The system did not return in time. The car lost balance, and the result was immediate. Loss of control. Now at Monza, something changed. The system returned correctly on the straights. The transition looked clean. The movement controlled. But that does not mean the problem is gone, because Monza hides things. Long straights, heavy braking zones, clear timing windows. It is the perfect place to test maximum efficiency, but not the place where unpredictability fully appears. And that is the key, because what Ferrari is building here is not just a faster rear wing. It is a completely different aerodynamic philosophy, one that depends on perfect synchronization, hydraulics, software, driver input, aerodynamic load, all working together. And that is why no other team can copy it easily, not because they do not understand it, but because making it work requires everything to be perfect. And in Formula One, perfection is the hardest thing to achieve, which means Ferrari is not just gaining an advantage. They are taking on a risk that could either redefine their season or expose a weakness no one else has. And this is where the real difference appears, because this system does not work alone. It changes everything around it. The airflow coming off the rear wing feeds directly into the diffuser. The diffuser affects the floor. The floor defines the stability of the entire car. So when that wing rotates, it is not just reducing drag. It is rewriting the balance of the car in real time. And that is something no traditional upgrade does. Because normal upgrades are stable, predictable, linear, easy to understand. This is the opposite. Dynamic, reactive, extremely sensitive. And that is exactly what both drivers started to feel. Moments where the car feels incredibly fast, effortless on the straights, almost unbeatable in top speed. And then, moments where everything depends on timing. When the wing returns, how fast it returns, how the airflow reconnects with the rest of the car. If that transition is perfect, the car feels planted. But if it is not, even slightly, the balance shifts. And that is the danger, because this is not a visible failure. It is not something that breaks. It is something that feels different, inconsistent, and that is much harder to detect. Now think about what that means in a race. Dirty air, different braking points, changing wind conditions, all variables that affect timing, all variables that can influence how that wing behaves. And suddenly, the advantage becomes fragile. In qualifying, it could be unstoppable, clean laps, maximum speed, perfect conditions. But in a race, everything changes. And that is exactly why no other team has committed to this idea. Not because they cannot build it, but because they are not willing to depend on it. Ferrari is, and that is what makes this so important. Because if they get it right, this is not just an upgrade. It is a breakthrough, A system that could force every other team to rethink their design. But if they get it wrong, it becomes a weakness that appears at the worst possible moments. Unpredictable, unforgiving, impossible to hide. And that is why everything now points to one moment. The first real race where this system is used under pressure. Because that is where the truth appears. Not in a test, not in controlled conditions, but when everything is happening at once. And when that moment arrives, we will finally see whether Ferrari created something no one else can copy, or something no one else would dare to risk. And this is where everything reaches its final point, because there is one thing more important than innovation: execution. Ferrari has built something extraordinary, a system that can deliver speed no one else has, a concept that pushes beyond what other teams are willing to risk. But in Formula One, the best idea does not win. The best executed idea does. And that is exactly where this entire story will be decided. Because this rotating rear wing, this entire philosophy, lives on a knife edge. If everything works perfectly, hydraulics respond instantly. Software reacts without delay. The airflow reconnects exactly as designed. Then Ferrari becomes untouchable on the straights. Overtakes become easier. Defending becomes simpler. Race strategy opens up in ways no other team can match. And suddenly, they are not just competing. They are controlling races. But if anything is even slightly off, if the timing is delayed by a fraction, if the airflow does not stabilize immediately, if the driver feels that hesitation at corner entry, then everything flips. Because that same system becomes the source of instability. The rear loses confidence. The balance shifts unpredictably. The driver hesitates just for a moment. And in Formula One, that moment is everything. Now think about what that means for Miami. Not a test, not controlled laps. A real race, wheel to wheel, high pressure, no margin for error. This is where innovation meets reality. Because here, the system will not just be fast. It will be tested. Every lap, every corner, every braking zone. And that is where the final answer appears. If Ferrari gets it right, they change the direction of the championship. They force every team to react. They introduce something the sport has not fully seen before. But if they do not, then this uncopyable upgrade becomes something else entirely. Not a breakthrough, a warning, a reminder that in Formula One, the most extreme ideas are also the hardest to control. And when the lights go out, there will be no more theory, no more speculation, only one truth. Either Ferrari created the most powerful advantage on the grid, or they built something so complex that even they cannot fully control it. And this is the part no one is saying out loud. Because if this works, really works, it does not just change Ferrari, it changes Formula One. Think about it. A system that reduces drag far beyond anything conventional. A gain in top speed that forces every rival to react. An aerodynamic philosophy that breaks the current limits. If Ferrari proves this concept in a real race, every team will have to follow. Not because they want to, because they will have no choice. But here is the problem. They cannot copy it quickly. This is not a front wing tweak. This is not a small floor adjustment. This is a complete integration. Hydraulics, software, aerodynamic mapping, structural design, all built around one idea. And that takes time. Months, maybe an entire season. Which means Ferrari could create something extremely rare in Formula One. A temporary monopoly. A window where they are the only team capable of using this kind of system. And in that window, championships are decided. But here is where the tension becomes real. Because the same complexity that makes it impossible to copy makes it incredibly difficult to perfect. Every lap, the system must be flawless. Every corner, the timing must be exact. Every condition must be accounted for. And Formula One does not offer perfect conditions. Wind changes, temperatures shift, drivers push beyond limits. And that is where even the smallest imperfection becomes visible. So Ferrari is standing at a crossroads. On one side, a breakthrough that could redefine the sport. On the other, a level of complexity that could collapse under pressure. And that is why this story is not about an upgrade. It is about a gamble, a calculated risk at the highest level of motorsport. Because if Ferrari wins with this, they do not just win a race. They force a new direction. They rewrite what teams believe is possible. But if they lose control of it, if the system fails when it matters most, then it becomes something else entirely. A lesson, a reminder that in Formula One, the biggest innovations are also the ones that demand the most precision. And when the moment comes, when the pressure is real, when everything is on the line, we will finally see the truth. Not about the car, not about the system, but about whether Ferrari can handle what they have just created. And this is where everything becomes irreversible. Because once Ferrari commits this system to a real race, there is no going back. You cannot hide it. You cannot partially use it. You cannot pretend it does not exist. The moment it runs under race conditions, every team sees it, every engineer studies it, every rival reacts to it, and more importantly, every weakness is exposed. Because in testing, you control the variables. In a race, the variables control you. Different fuel loads, different tire phases, dirty air from other cars, sudden changes in wind direction, all of it hitting the car lap after lap. And that is where the real pressure begins. Because this system does not just need to work once. It needs to work every single time. Every straight, every braking zone, every lap. No delay, no hesitation, no inconsistency. And that level of precision is brutal. Now imagine the moment. Full speed down a straight, maximum deployment, the wing fully rotated, the car gaining speed more than anyone else. And then, the breaking point, the exact instant where everything must return to normal. If it does, perfect. If it does not, even slightly, the entire balance shifts at the worst possible time. And that is the pressure Ferrari is about to face. Not just building something fast, but controlling something extremely sensitive. And here is the final truth. This is no longer about whether the system works. It is about whether Ferrari can trust it. Because in Formula One, trust is everything. If the driver hesitates, even for a fraction, the advantage disappears. If the engineer doubts the data, even slightly, the setup becomes conservative. And if the team cannot fully rely on the system, then the risk becomes greater than the reward. So when the lights go out, this will not just be about speed. It will be about confidence, about commitment, about whether Ferrari is willing to push this system at the limit when everything is on the line. Because that is where the difference is made. Not in the design, not in the concept, but in the moment where you decide to trust it completely or hold back. And in that decision, the entire season can change. Because if Ferrari trusts it and it delivers, they have built something no one else can match. But if they hesitate, or if it fails under pressure, then this so-called uncopyable advantage becomes the very thing that holds them back. And when that moment arrives, there will be no second chances. Only one outcome, one truth, one answer to whether Ferrari just changed Formula One forever, or simply pushed the limits too far.